They say not all that glitters is gold, but this journal theme has glitter and gold, and on a black page, it really pops. Let's set up a shiny, twinkly, starry theme for August in the mystery journal, with room for calendars, trackers, memory keeping, and space for planning every single day. Hi, I'm Erin, and I'm a bit of a bowerbird. I really do love a shiny thing. And this is the Mystery Journal. It's an A5 notebook from Archer and Olive with black pages. And I call it the Mystery Journal because at the time I was setting this up, it was a mystery to me who this journal was going to end up with, and a mystery to you guys what the rest of the pages inside would look like. So I actually set this up a couple of months ago, the entire journal all the way to December, and it is in Finland now with its new owner. I just wanted to give this brush pen a test before I jumped in and make sure it was going to give me the line weights I was looking for my August header here, because it's going to be the central focal point of this cover spread. This is from a set of dual-tipped metallic acrylic paint markers from Ardex that I don't think they make anymore, unfortunately. So I won't be able to link you to those ones in the description or the journal, unfortunately, but everything that I can link to, I will have links to in the description below. It seems to me that not all acrylic markers are created equal, because I tried every acrylic marker that I have on black paper before I started in this journal, and some of them just disappeared into the page, but this one stands out really well. Big shout out to my channel members who helped me choose all of the themes for this journal on a live stream many months ago. This entire theme turned out exactly the way I envisioned, so thank you so much for your help. I think this header is looking pretty good. I'm just going to go back over a few areas for a second coat of the acrylic paint so that it's really opaque and consistent across the whole word. While we do this, I have a question for you. Are you a gold or a silver person? I really like gold. I like to surround myself with things that are gold, but for jewelry, I prefer silver. Go figure. Unfortunately, here's another thing I can't link you to. This washi tape is from Archer and Olive from their spring subscription box from earlier this year. I actually didn't have this one yet when we had our live stream planning out the theme, so this one was a little wildcard entry, but it could not have been more perfect for this black and gold extremely shiny theme with this garland kind of a design. But I promise you, everything else I'm using you can still get your hands on. I didn't want to go too hard on the decoration for this theme for a few reasons, partly because I really wanted the August header to be the star of this page, but also because I had some limited amounts of some of the items I'm using in this setup, and I wanted to make sure they would stretch the whole way through the theme. So I was a little bit cautious with how much I was putting on each page, but we can always go back through towards the end and add to things much more easily than trying to remove things and put them somewhere else later on. If this gold kind of patinaed textured tape looks familiar to you, that's because I have used it on the channel before. In my own initial journal setup for the first half of the year, I love this tape and I'm going to be really sad when I run out of it. It's the MT Fab Gold Dust tape and it's just spectacular. It's so versatile. I'm doing a lot of washi tape layering in this theme because that's what I have the most of as far as decorative things. My stickers are a little more limited, but washi tape is my favorite stationery category because of the bang for your buck. You know, you put a little strip of tape on the page and instantly it seems like you have a theme going. So that's my recommendation for people who are new to creative journaling, is just to get 3 washi tapes that all look really good together and try pairing them up in different ways. But I know washi tape is also a fairly divisive category. I know there are people out there who are like, I just don't know what to do with it. And that's okay too if it's not for you. I originally got these sticker sheets, which unfortunately are not kiss cut. You have to cut these ones out yourself unless you're just using them in a slab. I got them from JOURNALSAY originally, and they're not listed there anymore, but I did find them still linked on a website called JOURNALTALE, so I'll have that in the description for you. Any kind of sticker or tape that isn't pre-cut that you have to cut out yourself is going to make the process take a little bit longer, and it will test your patience a little bit, but I'm going to cut the cutting out process from the rest of the video so you won't have to watch that happen again. I so prefer when that process is done for me. And another of my favorite stationery categories is tiny stickers that you can use just to link ideas if you feel like parts of your page aren't connecting. And even when it's not for a celestial theme, I love a tiny star. I feel like they're relevant regardless of what you're doing. Let's leave the cover spread here for now and move on to the calendar page. If you caught my recent July setup in my own journal, you'll have seen a very similar system to this, and I was actually inspired by this setup to do the July one because I set up this August before my own July. Doesn't that feel weird? Basically, this concept of adding washi tape along the top row of each of my calendar box areas came from this setup first, and as I was editing the video for this one, I was thinking, wow, that would be really fun to do again. I got this gold 5mm washi tape. It's actually the perfect size to fit into the 5mm dot grid of this journal from a store called Fred Aldous when I was in Manchester, in a pack with a silver one as well. And you'll be seeing that later in the journal, the silver version. And this gold version will be making another appearance in another setup as well. Thankfully, there was heaps of this tape on the roll for both of those colours, so that's great. I've got plenty to be working with, and I still have some left over. But I will say when you're working with a metallic washi tape like this, they don't really tear very well. They're definitely more of a cutting washi tape, so the scissors are coming in clutch. This is actually just a normal gridded calendar setup. I just haven't drawn in the vertical lines, so I'm using the placement of the number for each day to indicate where the beginning of that planning space is for each day. This gold marker is from GRABIE, and this one is still available, but it's part of a set, so you can't get it on its own, I don't think, but if you're working in a blackout journal, that set would be fantastic for blackout pages. So I've told you a bit about what the mystery journal is, but why do I do this? Partly it's to have some additional bullet journal, creative journal, planner content available on my channel for you to use as inspiration for your own journal setups, particularly since my own journal setups for myself are potentially not the most useful to everybody, given that I am a self-employed person who makes internet videos for a job. Partly it's an outlet for my expensive stationery collection. It's great to use some of the stuff that I wouldn't get a chance to use otherwise. The whole theming element, having this entire journal be celestial themed for instance, and the journal before this was floral themed, is just a personal challenge. It just makes it extra fun for me and helps me move out kind of a whole category of stationery from my collection at a time. It really helps me to have a video that's already pre-shot each month that I just have to edit and voiceover and throw on the channel without having to sit down and film, because sometimes filming can take hours and hours and hours, depending on how complex the setup is. And it's a way for me to give back to my community too by having a giveaway where this journal finds a new home. The notebook you're looking at right now is my 6th completed mystery journal, so I've been doing this for 3 years now, can you believe? And I found this calendar spread really easy to decorate. I just added a couple of strips of washi tape down each side vertically, and one of the stickers from those sheets that I cut out before. I pre-cut a lot of those so I wouldn't have to think about it while I was setting everything else up. Onward now to our goals and gratitude spread. On the left page, we'll have a space for writing down goals just for the month of August, and on the right side, we'll have a space to log a little thing that you're grateful for every day. The size of the pen I'm using for my headings kind of dictates the size of my lettering because it's rather thick, so I need a decent amount of room for my lettering, which means there's not a huge amount of space left for decoration once these pages are all set up, and I'm okay with that, especially since I'm already rationing my stickers. August has 31 days, so I'm just numbering from 1 to 31 down the left side of the right page. I'm going to add the initial for each day of the month as well right next to that. And the rest of this page will stay fairly blank because there needs to be lots of room for the winner of this journal to use those spaces to mark their gratitude down for every day. There is a little bit of room left over at the very bottom though, so I will take advantage of that and the space on either side of the header. I didn't want to go crazy on decoration for the left side for the goal section, although I did have more space for that, so I'm just adding a line down the center of that page and I'm going to continue the decoration top and bottom, so these two spreads look like they make sense together. I decided I didn't like my gold pen line, so I'm covering it up with a little piece of this washi tape instead. Wherever you can use a washi tape like this as a functional element, I say go for it because it just adds some extra pizzazz. Just a few more little stars and then this spread is complete and we can move on to our next one, which is for tracking. Ordinarily, I give each of these their own page across this spread, but I thought it would be fun to try to do something a little bit different, so instead I'm making them horizontal trackers that share the spread. That means each one will actually cross the center of the spread and go across the binding. Up the top is the habit tracker. This one is a table that has space to track 6 habits, with an extra area up the top for the number for each day of the month. This kind of habit tracker is really easy to mark off because you can just put a dot or a check mark or something like that in the space every time you complete the habit for that day. And it gives you an excellent don't break the chain style tracker that you can try to stay on top of things every single day, or less frequently if they're not habits that you need to do every day. And underneath I'm adding my spending tracker, and usually I make this 2 of the exact same table right next to each other, but because we're working with less vertical space this time I thought I'd make it 3 of the same table. It'll still function the exact same way as usual, it's just spread over a little bit more space. I am a really big proponent of financial literacy, and tracking your spending can be part of that if that's a new thing to you, so I really encourage you to give it a go if it's not something that you've tried before, because it can be a little bit eye-opening to see where your money is really going, especially if you add it all up by category at the end of the month and compare it to something like a budget, which is what this journal is set up to do, with some pages way back at the beginning in the initial setup. I don't have finance pages in my journal anymore, but I do have them in their own separate journal so that I don't have to blur them out whenever I show you my own journal on the internet. So the table for the spending tracker is just item in the first column, category in the second column, and cost in the third one. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and you can come up with your own categories based on how you spend your own money. I have categories for car expenses, categories for things like bills, I have categories for stationery specifically, and entertainment and stuff like that. I deliberately staggered these 2 tables so I'd have a little bit of space in the top right and the bottom left corners to add some decoration. And I'm going with an old faithful system of mine for adding decoration, which is 2 washi tapes touching each other and then a sticker touching those. It's usually one of the driest spreads in a whole setup, but I think this is my favourite so far. Unfortunately, this journal has a bit of a flaw where the glue had seeped through in between some of the signatures, like right in the middle of the signatures where you can see the strings sometimes, so every time I pull those pages apart they rip a little bit, but I'm going to cover it for this one. This spread is still functional, but it's going to be much more open and free than the ones we've done previously. We're not going with anything too structured from here on out until we get to weeklies. This is a spread for memory keeping, and different people like to approach this in different ways, so I like to keep it very open to interpretation so that the winner of this journal can use this spread however they want. Maybe they prefer to write things down with words, with a pen, maybe they prefer to stick photos in, maybe it's more of a junk journal situation with ephemera collected throughout life, tickets and things like that, so having it left fairly open gives you a lot of flexibility to do whatever you want with this space. Thankfully, these stickers are quite thin, so I'm able to stick this one right down the middle of the binding without interfering with the function of the book too much, and that's done a really good job of covering those rips, which don't look very good when left exposed. Usually I colour over them with a black marker, but for this one I was like, let's just get rid of it. Pretend it never existed. Very quick and easy setup on the memory spread, and this one I'm calling a spare spread. It could be used for literally anything that the winner of this journal wants to include that I haven't already included, or it could be overflow from the memory keeping spread. It could be for reflection at the end of the month to see how you went on those goals you set at the beginning of it. Literally anything could go here, so I'm just going to do another minimal kind of decoration style here, just with some collages in the corners, and leave it at that. Moving on to our first setup for the weekly spreads now, and usually I like to give a bit of a sample platter of weekly styles with different setups for each week throughout the month, but I didn't have that much left of the stickers that I was using for this setup, so I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. I'm cutting Dutch doors into all of the weeklies so they'll all have the same layout, and they'll also all use the same decoration, which means I decorate once, I can use up everything that I have left, There's still space for planning for every individual day. There'll still be weeklies for every week. I just won't have to set up everyone a little bit differently. So the right side of the final right page of the weeklies and the left side of the first page of the weeklies are where our decoration's going to go. I'm going to worry about that first, and then we'll add all of the functional stuff to the weekly spaces too. This way, whichever weekly you're on, no matter which way you flip these Dutch doors, you'll be able to see that decoration from any weekly. I'm feeling pretty good about my sticker placement, so we can start adding the text for these weeklies now. You might notice I'm not starting with the 1st and 2nd, I'm starting from the 3rd of August. That's because my 1st and 2nd are actually back here in the July pages, because I like to have my weeks together all the way from Monday through to Sunday. And most of that week fell into July, so I've stuck it with the July pages. If more of the days fell into August, then it would have been in the August pages. Oh no, I just made a horrible mistake. I didn't mean to write the whole word Tuesday. I only wanted the TUE, oh no. I'm gonna deal with that later. For now, let's just get the rest of the days of the week on the page here. One thing with several Dutch doors next to each other like this, they don't always sit super flat, so I find adding a clip to weigh them down a little bit to write on this side helps. With use, the journal also will stay open on these pages a little bit more easily. Now, there are a few ways I could fix this Tuesday. I could use some of the offcuts from the Dutch doors that I removed earlier to cover it up. That would probably be the most seamless. I'm actually just going to colour over it with a black marker, and that's going to do, because I do still need to add the number here as well. So once the black marker dries down, that will also help to cover up my mistake too. While I wait for that marker to dry, I'm just going to sprinkle some more stars around, because you can never have too many sprinkly stars, and I do have heaps of these. I'm always looking for ways to make things look a little bit more polished, so I'm going to line the edges of all of my Dutch doors with this lovely gold tape as well. Just a little thin line of it so it doesn't interfere with the use of any of these pages, but it will make everything look very, very neat. And since this notebook comes with pages that have curved corners, I'm going to punch out the corners of these as well so that they look like they were always supposed to be here. Like maybe the notebook just came this way. It didn't, but maybe you'll think it did. Now we can go ahead and add the first 3 letters for each day and the number as well. And I won't be making that same mistake again and adding more than 3 letters, because there's no better way to learn than to make a mistake. Something I find really helps me because of previous mistakes is just adding the name for each day first and then going back and adding the number. Otherwise, I get confused and mixed up and I number things wrong and I number the notes section and all sorts of chaos happens. So this works best for me. Sometimes I'll do just the Monday so I have that starting point and I don't have to turn back to see what I was up to, but for the most part, just the first 3 letters. let's take a moment for the shininess of the weeklies without the lights interfering. I love the way these weeklies have turned out, although they still have some pencil lines that need removing, so let me just get rid of those quickly. And then we can take a flip through from start to finish of this entire August theme. I've turned off my filming lights for this one, and this is just shot in regular window daylight, so you can see everything without the reflection. It may not be real gold that's worth lots of money, but I think it's lovely all the same. And do you know what? This one was actually really quick and easy to set up. If you are working in a blackout journal and you haven't tried a kind of monochrome theme like this with just one accent color before, I really urge you to try it, and maybe even on a white page journal too. It could be fun just to stick to one thing. A little personal challenge. Sometimes they make you get even more creative when you have to work within some limitations. Once again, there are links to as many of the things I've used in this theme as I can possibly link you to down in the description, and if you scroll a bit further, there are discount codes for some of those stores too. I hope there was something in this video that sparked some inspiration for you, whether it was a particular piece of stationery or a particular layout for a page, but if not, don't worry, I've got plenty more inspiration for you on my channel from many years of setups. Here is a lovely pink soft girl kind of theme in case that's more your vibe, as well as a playlist of all of the mystery journal videos for 2026 so far.